Have you ever tried to validate placing your favorite character above all the rest? Of course you have. Since you're here, you're probably an anime fan, and we're like moths to a flame for that shit. There's a reason that waifu wars exist. But what if I told you that there is an actual, concrete method to planting your character far above all the rest? Hi guys, I'm Bayfond, and today we're gonna be talking about popularity polls. The most official, yet infrequent, method of crowning your character as #1 in any given series, all because of fans' votes. Yeah, these popularity polls are made by the magazine companies that house the mangas. Basically, they're there to incentivize the fan base, to elicit a response so that they know what elements are working in a story and what elements aren't working. Now you might be saying, what makes this better than like any other kind of poll that ranks characters? I mean, there's dozens of fan-based ones on like Reddit and other sites like that. And to that I say, this one's printed on actual paper, next to the manga that you love. So it has to be better. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. I would say popularity polls are a little bit more common in series where the fan bases are a little bit more divided. So what better example to throw out there than with the harem/romance genre? I would say some common things that we can see here are that the main heroines are always on the top of the list, which means that the series is doing exactly what it intended to do. If you brought me a popularity poll of a romance manga and none of the main girls are on that top 5 list, I'd know that that manga was probably complete shit. But that's not the case with We Never Learn and Quintessential Quintuplets, because as you can see in both of them, the top 5 is dominated by the main girls. Now, I'm not specifically saying that I would agree with the rankings in this, because when we look at We Never Learn, the teacher being in second place, blasphemous. To be honest, I wouldn't let that slide. There's no other place for her than #1. And when we're looking over here at Quintessential Quintuplets, Miku being #1 is understandable, but what are we? The most basic and underwhelming fan base of all time? Let's get those Nino points up there. And Ichika too, but let's keep that on the down low. But in both of these rankings, if the person that's #1 is your best girl, then you have definitive bragging rights. Because this means that fans that are reading the manga have the same mindset that you do. But popularity polls are definitely not just limited to romance mangas. Every single one of the dozens of shonen publishers out there does at least a few of these a year. And I would actually say that the placing for these characters is a little bit more predictable than it is for like any other series. This is due to the fact that shonen fans don't shut the fuck up. They're never gonna let you forget who their favorite characters are in any given moment. And this is the case with one such, Jujutsu Kaisen. Because Itaori, Megumi, and Gojo being in the top 3 doesn't surprise me at all. The fact that fans were always raving about them in the anime means that that was translated pretty well from the manga. And in other shonens, like in The Promised Neverland, the top 3 is held by our 3 main characters. And the fact that Emma, Norman, and Rei are up here in the top 3 means that in the entire manga, they're the characters that got the most development out of anyone in the cast. I mean, it would have been surprising for like this little fuck to end up on the high end of the list, but you know, things happen all the time. And then when moving on from battle shonen, let's go to slice of life with Komi-san, where numbers 1 and 2 are probably the most predictable thing ever. It becomes a little bit more of a surprise when we're looking at number 3 and number 5, because these are characters that haven't had nearly enough screen time recently. Or well, recently, looking at when this poll was taken. For everyone else, it kind of sort of makes sense, though I am missing the presence of one very special dude. You know what I mean. But I would say most of these popularity polls I'm talking about so far are pretty predictable. If you've got friends that are part of the community, you've probably heard them talk about what their favorite characters are, and there's no big upset here. My favorite kind of popularity poll is the one where the community turns it into a joke. Not necessarily in a hurtful or mean-spirited kind of way, but just kind of like a, hey, we're just trying to have fun. And there's no better case of this than with the first Chainsaw Man popularity poll. Because everyone on this list is pretty predictable. I mean, 1 and 2 being Power and Makima, yeah, I can definitely see that. Though, at this point in time in the manga, I would have assumed that those 2 roles would have been like switched around. But what really catches my eye, and pretty much everyone else's when they look at this, is number 7 here, where we see a car. And it's not just any car, it's Kobeni's car. And then we look at the place right behind it, and it's Kobeni herself. Yes, you heard me right. Kobeni lost to her own goddamn car. This is the most in-character gag that a popularity poll can ever do. The entire world of Chainsaw Man is constantly fucking with Kobeni at all times, so it makes sense that the audience is also gonna shit on her too. I mean, she really can't catch a break. And this kind of popularity poll with an upset like this is also seen in Sosinofreading's first popularity poll results, where we see number 1 being Himmel. Oh, okay. Well, man's a goat, so that part makes sense, but I mean, he's kind of been dead since like chapter 1, and he hasn't really appeared in a lot of chapters recently, but I'll let that slide. Fredin is number 2, respectable. And then who do we see as number 3? The motherfucking mimic chest. Chef's kiss. I mean, you can't really take away Fredin from the mimic chest. These two complete each other. There's too much gold that comes from these two characters interacting with one another. And after this, I think we're gonna see some more. And these are examples of the audience just having fun with it. Every community has got its own in-jokes, so why not put it in a poll to be published in the magazine? I think it makes perfect sense. Now, this was an example of the community just kind of fucking around, but mangakas do it too. Here we've got the popularity results of the 100 Girlfriends manga, where we see everyone is best girl. Seriously, if you were anticipating something serious from this manga, I'm frankly surprised. This kind of poll is also extremely accurate to the manga, but since it's made by the actual mangaka, I'm not gonna give them any credit for that. I only have about one complaint about popularity polls in general, and that's the fact that they don't come out nearly as often as they should. For a series that runs about like 2 years, we might just get one popularity poll each year. Like for instance, Chainsaw Man. All of part 1 was like around 100 chapters, and we only got 2 popularity polls. If we got like 1 or 2 more, we would have gotten that switch flip for the audience. We would have seen it happen in real time once certain arcs were seen. But we don't see that gradual turn with just 2 of these polls. And there's also the fact that not every manga is gonna receive a popularity poll. You'd probably assume that most major series have popularity polls, but that's where you're kind of wrong. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has never had one. The closest that we've gotten is Araki listing his top 10 favorite characters of JoJo. And for some, that might be a little bit more official and important than what a fan poll can say. And a series like Kaguya Wants to Be Confessed To never got close to this at all. So with series like this, fans have no other choice than to settle for, fan polls that they can find on like regular social media. There's nothing bad about it, I just mean it doesn't hold the title of official. Aside from this, I also hope that in the future, popularity polls make it accessible for people outside of Japan to participate in these. Because yeah, all of these results are from Japanese fans, but it would be more exciting to see the rest of the world participating as well. And with that, that was a little rundown of my favorite popularity polls. As always, I was Bayfond, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.